All right, so as with the other conic sections we've dealt with, parabolas and the circles, with the ellipse we have a standard form, and we sometimes get the problem written not in standard form, so this is in general form. And our task will be to manipulate the equation in order to get us into standard form. And the techniques are similar in nature to what we've done in the past. The only difference here is that we do have coefficients in front of x squared and y squared, not necessarily both, but at least one. And that does cause the standard form creation to be a little bit more challenging, but not beyond anybody's capability. So first thing is, if we consider what standard form is supposed to look like, we have x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared is equal to 1. My first priority is to get the squared objects. Okay, and just like with the circle, I've got an x squared object, I've got a y squared object on the left side, I've got a number on the right side. So my first step is going to be a separation rearrangement step to get the x stuff together, the y stuff together, and then the number isolated. So I'm looking at this. This is an x object, this is an x object. I put those together. So I've got 9x squared plus 18x. I'm going to leave a gap. I've got 4y squared and minus 8y, so I'm going to put plus 4y squared minus 8y, leave a gap. And I've got a number here, negative 23. When it slides across to the right-hand side, it becomes positive 23. So step one here is very much like step one with the circle, where I'm just rearranging things, putting my x grouping together, my y grouping together, the number to the other side. Okay. For completing the square to work, I need to have a coefficient of 1 in front of my x squared object and a coefficient of 1 in front of my y squared object, and that involves factoring in this step. So whatever's in front of x squared, I need it to be 1x squared, so I'm going to take out whatever that is. And to take something out of a binomial, I need to divide both pieces by that number. So 9x squared divided by 9 is 1x squared, better known as just x squared. Positive 18x divided by 9 is positive 2x. And I'm going to leave that gap still. Even if this wasn't a friendly 18 divided by 9 makes 2, if this was like 13, then you're going to write 13/9 x. I mean, it is what it is. All right, this has to be 1x squared. You have no way around that. So if it's not, you need this to become whatever it becomes. If it comes out to some nice friendly number like 2, just be thankful it's an easy problem. If it comes out to an ugly number, it's just a little bit more challenging. All right? And then the y terms, again, this needs to be 1y squared, not 4y squared, so I'm going to put plus. I'm going to take the 4 out, parentheses, and I'm going to divide both pieces by 4. 4y squared divided by 4 is positive 1y squared. Negative 8y divided by 4 is negative 2y. Leaving a gap, and 23 is still 23. That's going to be my second step in completing the square to get standard form. Any concerns yet? Okay. Completing the square is what it has been every time for the left-hand side. So what I'm considering when I'm completing the square, what I care about is what is this object. And I want to take half of that number and then square it. What's half of 2?
1.
And what's 1 squared?
1.
1. So I'm adding 1 right here. I'm required to add the same amount to both sides. Now take a look at what I've really added. Where is plus 1 at?
In the
And what's happening in the parentheses? It's being multiplied by 9, right? This parentheses here is being multiplied by 9. So even though I added 1 here, on this side, I've actually added 9 times 1, which is 9. That's what I've really added. So again, plus 1 goes in my work, but plus 9 is what in reality got added. So plus 9 has to come over here. And this is going to happen frequently in these problems. There's almost always a number being pulled out to make these x squared and y squared. So whatever goes in is being multiplied by the outside number. That's how much this side's been changed. But do the same thing here. Half of 2 is 1, and 1 squared is 1. So I'm going to do plus 1 here as well. because again, that's how you complete the square. You focus on the number in front of y, which is 2. Half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. But in reality, what I've added to this side is 4 times 1, which is 4. So plus 4 has to come over to this side. All right? That's the only real weird step happening for the most part. Again, and that sometimes I see people put plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, and again, they're not considering there's a number out front. So if I were to distribute, this is 9x squared, this is plus 18x, this is plus 9. 4y squared minus 8y plus 4. So plus 9 and plus 4, that's why it's plus 9 and plus 4. That's what we've actually added. All right? Next, we're going to factor. So I'm going to get 9, and I'm going to get a parentheses squared. And factoring is what it has been. I've got a letter, a sign, and a number. The letter is the first letter. The sign is the sign of the second term. The number is the square root of the third term. X plus square root of 1 is 1. Then I got my plus 4 parentheses squared. I need a letter, a sign, and a number. The letter is y, the sign is negative, and the number is the square root of 1. And over on the right-hand side, 23 plus 9 is 32, plus 4 is 36. So comparing what standard form is supposed to look like to what we have, we've successfully created our parentheses squared objects, right? Okay. Now, it's supposed to be fraction, fraction equals 1. So at this point, I'm going to make the equals 1 happen. Once I get everything fixed out where the parentheses squared are happening, I want to divide by whatever that is because it needs to equal 1 to be a standard form. So I'm going to do divided by 36 here, divided by 36 here, divided by 36 here. Now, what I want you to recognize, and again, this is, I'm been doing this a long time, so I recognize things maybe more than you guys do, but this right here, notice there's nothing in front of it, and there's nothing in front of it. So we can't have anything in front. That 9 and 4 has to go away. One of two things is going to happen in this step. The first thing would be nice if it happens, and it does happen in this case, doesn't always happen. The first thing could be that these happen to be reducible. Can we see 9 and 36 both divide by 9 evenly? 9 divided by 9 is 1. 36 divided by 9 is 4. Same thing here. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 36 divided by 4 is 9. That's the first thing that could happen, possibly. Okay? If that didn't happen, just in case, it's going to happen on the worksheet because I made them up myself to make sure they did happen, but I can't guarantee the book problems are going to be like that when I assign book problems. So the other possibility is if they don't reduce. Let's say this said 7 over 36 instead of 9 over 36. Whatever that fraction is, 9 over 36, just flip it. So what's 9 over 36 flipped? 36 over 9. What does 36 over 9 equal? 4, right? So that's the same as doing that and that 4, right? But again, if it didn't reduce exactly, you can just put the reciprocal on the bottom. That's the same thing. All right? So that makes sense. So that gets me parentheses x plus 1 squared over 4 plus parentheses y minus 1 squared over 9 equals 1. And now we have standard form. Okay, once we have standard form, now it's the problems we had from day 2. We want to find the center, figure out the values of a, b, and c, plot the 7 points, and connect the 4 vertices. So, what is the center of this ellipse? Negative 1, positive 1. H is always with x, k is always with y, but they're also the wrong signs every time. So, negative 1, comma positive 1 is the center. So, negative 1, positive 1 is my center. I'm going to plot that point. From this point forward, everything we're going to graph is going to be off of the center. Okay. I know a squared is equal to 4 because a is always underneath x. If a squared is 4, what does a equal? 2. And that's how far I go left and right. Right? A always goes left and right. So I'm going to go 2 left to a vertex. I'm going to go 2 right to a vertex from the center. I know b squared equals what? 9, because b squared is always under y, right? B squared equals 9, which means b equals 3. And b always takes me up and down to a vertex, so that's up and down. So from the center, 3 up is here, 3 down is here. And I know in this case c squared is going to equal the big minus the small, so 9 minus 4. C squared is equal to 5, so c is equal to the square root of 5. 2.24, isn't it?
Yeah.
2.24. And since up and down is bigger than left and right, right? Up and down is bigger. My major axis is vertical. So I'm going to go up and down 2.24 to get foci. So 1, 2.24 here for a focus. 1, 2.24 here for a focus. The outside 4 dots get connected to make my ellipse. Connect them with a nice, somewhat nice elliptical shape there. It's kind of like you got punched and kind of askew over there a little bit. But anyway, draw as pretty as you can. Try and hit the 4 vertices, make it look elliptical. Best of your ability. I'm not grading on artwork, but make it look somewhat elliptical.